Hi, food friends. Welcome to Cavalcade of Food. It's Kevin.
Hey there, Kevin. He cooks and I eat. I'm Ralph behind the camera.
And you know what? We're finally officially into spring, although you wouldn't know it by the Michigan weather because it's still really cold in the 30s. But you know what? We're going to think spring and
make something springy that has a bounce to it.
Exactly. And as a matter of fact, we're making a chiffon cake.
Wow, so you're baking and I'm eating today.
That's right. So we're making a chiffon cake. A chiffon cake is sort of like an angel food cake in that it's baked in a tube pan like this. Okay? This is a standard, what we call a tube pan, 10-inch tube pan. But it has a little bit more flour than an angel food cake has.
What flavor is it?
It's going to be orange.
Ooh.
Okay? Orange.
And some kind of sauce, right?
We're going to make a rhubarb sauce for it.
Okay.
So we're going to actually serve it a la mode with vanilla ice cream and a rhubarb sauce.
So those are two great flavors that go well together.
So what we'll do is we're going to start on the cake first. So here we go. Now, for a chiffon cake, same with an angel food, we're using cake flour. Cake flour is a little different than all-purpose flour in that it is much finer. It's almost like a powder. It's almost powdery. And it has less gluten in it as well. And so what we're going to do is, I've already sifted this once. I'm going to put in 2 1/4 cups of cake flour into my sifter here. So some people scoop, I spoon. So, who's rocking on the hi-fi?
We're listening to Tom Jones from an early album of his called The Atomic Tom Jones. Some sexy music for a sexy cake.
Yeah. I hope the cake is sexy. All right. So, okay, 2 1/4 cups cake flour. You with me?
So far, so good.
I've got 1.5 cups of sugar here. That's going right in the sifter. Okay.
Okay.
Baking powder. Let's put in 3 teaspoons. So, again, this is our leavener. Although, another thing about chiffon cakes is it uses egg whites and egg yolks separated. So we got 3 teaspoons of baking powder, and then I'm going to put in a teaspoon of salt. Okay?
Okay.
So these are basically our dry ingredients. I'm going to kind of mix it together here in the sifter a little bit, and then we'll do our thing.
Let's see. Let's get a shot of that. Oh, okay.
Okay?
It's
So we're sifting our dry ingredients
kind of mixes them together when you do that, right?
Yes.
So Kevin is one of those rare people who can both cook and bake very well. Do you have a preference between the two? If you had to choose one, or do you like them both equally?
I like them both. And you know, it's one's baking certainly is more of a science because you really got to get your measurements right,
precise. But I know you said you learned a lot of about math and physics and stuff.
About science, yes. More so from baking.
From baking.
And my mother was mom was a great baker and a great cook.
And when you were little, you'd be in the kitchen learning what fractions were because of
That's
measurements.
Right. You knew
and
that
such.
2 half cups make 1 whole cup. Now I'm going to put a well here. Okay?
Oh, okay.
So we've got our dry ingredients sifted together. I'm making a well.
Which is just a little space to put the wet ingredients?
Yes.
That's what he means by a
Now
well.
I'm going to get my wet ingredients together, and we'll be right back, and we'll put our wet ingredients in our dry ingredients and get our batter, for the most part, made. We're making an orange chiffon cake.
Springy and sexy.
Dry ingredients. We made our well. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put our wet ingredients in the well, and it's important that they go in a specific order. So we're going to start with 1/2 cup of oil. So this is just vegetable oil. You could also use canola oil or corn oil, but we're using vegetable oil today. Then I've got 5 egg yolks here. Okay?
No
No yolk.
No, I'm just kidding. No joke. But yeah, 5 egg yolks. Okay. So
Okay.
that egg yolks are wet, of course. They go in the middle of the
They go in
dry,
with the oil.
along with the oil.
Okay.
What else is wet that goes in there?
3/4 of a cup of orange juice.
Ooh.
Okay, so that's going to give us some orange flavor. Then just to ramp it up, because this is an orange cake, I'm going to put in a teaspoon of orange extract. Now, if you don't have this, that's fine. But if you do, this will really boost sort of the orangeness.
The oranginess of it,
Mm-hmm.
eh? And just look how beautiful all those orange ingredients are in there with the white. Oh, and even more. What is this, Zest?
This is orange zest.
Cheddar cheese. Oh.
This is orange zest.
And as soon as we started talking about all this orange stuff, the sun came out.
And so the zest really has a lot of flavor, and you can see the orange oil that is on the plate from the zest.
Wow, so that's
the zest of an entire orange.
And that's going to be just sort of integrated throughout the lightness of the chiffon cake?
Yes.
Wow. A
And
little
so,
flecks.
Now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of stir all this together. And we just want to mix it until it's, everything's
wet.
combined. Yep. And all the flours or the dry ingredients are incorporated with the wet ingredients.
See that nice color that it's maintaining, and the smell is really strong too. A nice orangey, citrusy smell.
And because you're getting the orange, of course, the egg yolks gave it a lot of color as well. And
the zest, and then the
chiffon
orange juice.
Chiffon cakes were pretty big in the early 50s and throughout the 50s. They are a very light cake. You can frost them, you can just glaze them. They're a very versatile cake, and I love to make them. And they sort of fell out of favor. I don't know why, but we're going to try to bring back the chiffon cake because I think it's a great one.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to get cleaned up, and then what I've got here is I've got some egg whites that we're going to beat. And then we're going to put our egg whites and our wet batter together. So I've got 6 large egg whites here. Okay. And we're going to put that in our mixer. And ooh, I see a little piece of eggshell. How'd that happen?
Just don't charge extra for that.
That's the crunch. Okay. Now, to the egg whites, I'm going to put in a half a teaspoon of cream of tartar. I think we've talked about this, Ralph. This is sort of like a stabilizer.
I was going to say, see if I can remember. Test me on that, but I think I would have gotten it right. It helps to thicken when you're beating the eggs, it kind of gives it a foundation or thickens it.
Right. So we're going to let it do its thing. And what we want to do is we want these to beat until they're stiff, okay? So we're going to let the mixer do its thing. I'm going to turn it on to 11.
Wow. Spinal Tap style.
That's right. And then we'll be back when the egg whites are ready. Okay.
Are they sufficiently beaten, those egg whites?
With the tart? And we want them stiff. So sometimes, they call for soft peaks, firm peaks.
Twin Peaks.
So we want to beat the egg whites until they're stiff, and they are. So
is there a certain amount of time, or is you just kind of keep
it
an eye on it?
depends on your mixer. You have to keep an eye on it. It depends how strong your mixer is, how long it might take to do it. But you can see when I pull the egg whites up, you see how they hold their peak?
Yes.
They're nice and stiff.
Okay.
If they kind of flop, then you know that you're not there yet. You need to beat them a little bit longer.
Okay, what's next?
So now, we've got our batter here. We're going to pour this over the egg whites.
Ooh.
Okay, in a gentle way. And here we are. Thank you. Actually, you know what? You can let it go. It might help. I'm kind of almost folding. Do you see what I'm doing?
Yeah, and the pan itself is spinning slowly on its own.
Right, I'm sort of turning it. We're pouring, and we are
combining the egg whites with the
very gently
orangey cake batter mixture. So that's probably how you get it to be so chiffony and light and fluffy, right?
Yes, it's the egg whites that really give it that lightness, the chiffon.
Should have been playing the music of the chiffons now.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if we have any. You might have some. I don't.
Yeah. Well, we actually just put a bunch of records on. It started off with Tom Jones, and now it's the Ames Brothers, which is appropriate since you said this recipe was big in the 50s, and they were big in the 50s.
Yes, they were. So, all right, we're going to kind of continue to incorporate.
Integrate.
Into.
Combine, mix, blend.
But
gently.
Gently. You do not want those egg whites to get beaten down. Okay? Enough things in life get beaten down. We are not going to beat down the egg whites.
No.
And, there'll be pockets of white. It's really bright outside, so it's kind of hard to see, but it's fairly well incorporated.
Yeah, the sun's come out, but you can tell, or I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that the coloration has changed. The color of the eggs and the orangey filling have made it kind of a light color, but it's probably more colorful than it comes off on camera.
So now we're going to put this in the tube pan.
And you didn't spray it or anything? Or
no, I did not. I did not grease this pan. Often when you bake, you grease the pan.
Sure.
In a chiffon or an angel food, you do not grease the pan. Why is that?
Is there already oil in this somewhere?
Well, there is oil in the cake, of course, but what you want is the cake as it cooks to grab onto the side of the pan so that it rises.
Oh, okay.
You with me?
I think so.
So
if you had greased it, it wouldn't rise, it would slide.
It would slide. So we have an ungreased 10-inch tube pan. Some people call this an angel food pan, tube pan. And these are usually aluminum pans. They're easy to find. Matter of fact, almost any trip into a thrift store, and you will find a number of these over in the housewares department. I don't know why people buy them and give them away, but they do. All right, so here we go. We've got our oven preheated to 325 degrees.
It's once again the Westinghouse, and the slogan is,
"You can be sure if it's Westinghouse," and in it goes. And it's going to be for 55 minutes. So let's set our timer. 55 minutes
so
at 325.
Just short of an hour at 325.
Right, and then we're going to take it up to 350 degrees for like the last 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh.
Okay, so 325 for 55 minutes, and then we'll come back and take the temperature just up the last few minutes of cooking, and we'll have our orange chiffon cake.
Scrum diddly-umptious.
Okay, the timer went off. Remember, we had it for about 50 minutes or so, 55 minutes at 325, and then we ran it another 10 minutes at 350. And, oh, you can smell the orange, can't you?
Yes. Oh, it looks perfect.
Look at that. Now, here's the key about these. You see these little legs?
Yep.
That's because when you cool a chiffon cake, you do it inverted, upside down.
So you have to have a plate to put it on?
Well, I'm not actually, rather than just even using the little legs, I'm going to borrow this wine bottle here.
Oh my goodness.
And do it like that.
What does that do?
Well, this allows more airflow to get under it.
It's not going to fall in.
You can just put it upside down on its little legs there and let it cool that way. But this will prevent the cake from falling.
Really?
Yes.
But there's no danger of it just plopping down onto the...
No, it will not. I promise.
All right.
Now, the thing is, what you have to do is allow it to cool absolutely completely.
Which is how long?
Well, it's going to probably take a couple hours, actually, to fully cool.
Oh.
So we're just going to leave it here, let it do its thing. If it's wine you want to drink right away, then use a different bottle, because it needs to hang out for a couple hours to cool.
Oh,
okay?
Did you make that trick up, or you learned that
No,
somewhere?
I just learned that along the way. Anyway, so we're going to let it cool, and we'll come back when we get it out of
Our two.
So, Ralph, it's been about a couple hours, almost 3. I'm going to get this off of the wine bottle here. We can drink that later.
I love your Granny Clampett improvisations.
So here's the cake. Remember I told you the reason why we didn't grease the pan is because we wanted the cake to actually cling to the side of it so that as it rose it would stay high. So
this is how you get it off.
Yeah, we're just going to take a spatula or a thin bladed knife would work as well. We're just going to go around.
Get it off the pan.
Off the pan, okay. Now,
that's what I meant.
The nice thing about these is you can see it's got a bottom that separates, so check this out.
Oh, wow.
Okay? So, there's the cake. Now what we have to do is we have to get it off the bottom. So let's just run our blade here.
It's like not a butter knife, but
it's a spatula.
Spatula, okay. Mm-hmm. So you run that around the bottom.
And we're going to invert it on the plate. There we go. Now, what I'll do
is...
What's
missing? The dressing, or the
frosting.
That's fine.
So, I'm going to make a glaze for this, but if you can... It's so delicate and very light.
You see all the errors, like the bubbles of air and the...
And it has a...
beautiful citrusy scent,
orange
aroma.
Yeah. And so there it is. Now you could do, like I said, you could frost this whole thing. I'm just going to make an orange glaze for it. And so we'll cut a nice piece, serve it with some ice cream and rhubarb sauce. That's another episode. But this is it, folks.
So you can do different types of sauces, but the basic chiffon cake is here, and it's wonderful.
So, orange chiffon cake. So,
aren't you glad we didn't say banana?
That's right. So anyways, we had a great time making this. Thanks for being a part of this one. And you know what? We'll see you next time.
On Cavalcade of Food.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye-bye.